It is the Sports Fix here on Flow FM. Let's talk Speedway action now from around the country. Lots of sprint cars, 360s doing the rounds of tracks across the nation, and Big Bruce has been following it all. He's our resident expert, and he joins us on the line. Brucey, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not bad, Jace. Thanks for the intro. And, been following it very closely. Yeah, let's have a look at the wingless sprints they had there at the MMS Murray Bridge Speedway last week. And it was a magnificent feature for the Victorians. And I think they're brothers or father and son, I'm not 100% sure, Daniel Storer and Luke Storer. I don't like these Victorians coming over and getting the cups off us, but that's what happened last week at Murray Bridge Speedway. They were too good for Mitchell Broom, who was third, and Joel Heinrich in fourth. Of course, Joel runs a sprint car as well. And Rylan Furler in fifth place for last week's wingless sprints. Also on the meeting last week at Murray Bridge was the 410 sprint cars. Great to see them back there. Small nomination field of 15, but some quality in that field. But, it was a pretty disappointing A main with one of those A mains where plenty of carnage and, in fact, at the end, more people in the middle watching than there was actually finishing the race, which is not really good for racing. But let's have a look at who did finish. Ryan Jones, the local boy from Murray Bridge in the S63. He avoided the carnage, kept it straight, and he got the job done and got the chocolates from Strathalbyn's Daniel Pesca in the contract S27 car. So good to see our South Aussie boys in 1-2 with Luke Dillon also out of South Aussie in Adelaide in the S81 getting third. So Joel Heinrich, not a bad performance on a race night, jumping out of the wingless and then jumping into a sprint car. So, look, that is versatility at its best, and he got fourth in the A main. So that is just an incredible feat to just pretty much be in the seat all night and switch from both classes, which is unreal because when you look at the wingless, no wing, and the sprint cars with the wing, so totally different context and handling for the vehicle. So really is great effort there by Joel Heinrich. A lot of cars didn't finish, including Brad Keller and Dave Murcock coming over from Victoria, piloting the Downing Boys S97. So real sad there. And, of course, Matt Eagle, who contract drives for the Brown brothers out of Whyalla, also didn't finish. And our lovely lady driver, Lisa Walker, also another DNF. So a lot of DNFs, sadly, in the race. Cars on the start-finish line getting the green light and someone just not taking off at the correct time, and all of a sudden you've got cars just rolling over one another, and it just happens so quick, and it causes cars, whether it's a tyre or a wing, once they flip over, they can just knock the front end out, and it just can happen so quick in the blink of an eye, and all of a sudden you've got three cars out. So a little bit sad on that one, but Ryan Jones, he was the happy one on the night, getting the victory.
Well done to him. Let's head to Simpson next. Some racing there over the weekend, Bruce.
Yeah, they had their Victorian 360 sprint car title over there at the Simpson Speedway, and it was Brenton Farrar. He holds the Victoria 1 title. Well, now he's got the title again, and he's just been too good. I was thinking of Brett Milburn. He holds the Australian 1 title, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. So Brenton Farrar getting the V1 from Johnny Vogel's been around for a while and showing some class in the V70. Chris Solomon in the V83, and the Australia 1 currently Brett Milburn in the 360 class in fourth place. Good effort by Dane Bent Belson in the VA96. Only a new driver to get fifth place in the 360 Simpson Speedway Victoria 360 title. Vic title. So good effort there by Brenton Farrar, who you probably heard his name quite a bit, getting around in the 360s in the mainline dynamometers All-Stars. I nearly stuffed it, Jason.
You got it. You're well done, Bruce. You did well. Now, we've been touting this for a little while. Finally, it happened. The Eastern Creek opening went off really well last weekend, Bruce. How did it go?
Oh, look, it was all smiles, wasn't it? Packed house, standing room only pretty much. So there wasn't a ticket left to buy. The grand opening, and it was a good nomination list from cars travelling far and wide, including some South Australians in Brock Hallett, or registered in South Australia, former South Australians moved to Portland. So some South Australians getting over there, and it was Jamie Veal, who is the current Australian one. He's held that title for longer than anyone else because there hasn't been any Australian title run in the last couple of years. So he's still got that A1 on his car. And look how fitting for Veal to go up there and win that first meeting there from Lockie McHugh in the NQ7 and Robbie Farr in the N7. Well, Robbie was really only racing there because of the Western Australian borders. Otherwise, he probably would have been over in Western Australia. But driving the Jason Pride for the Jason Pride team. But, yeah, look, it doesn't get better than that, mate. Veal, McHugh and Farr. And, look, after that it was just a who's who. Jordan Brazier, Matt Dumpsney, Ian Madsen. So, yeah, you can see the big gun drivers made the effort to get to Eastern Creek for the opening. And, look, it was a magnificent race there. Also, Matt Dumpsney wheeled out the cobwebs, and he raced as well. So they actually declared it at 17 laps. I'm told a curfew, so over there at Eastern Creek, so time up, and the green flag was waved with a checkered, so only 17 laps run because of time constraints. So that was probably one of the saddest things of the night, but Jamie Veal getting the job done.
Well done to Jamie Veal. You touched on Perth there. Well, they did have some racing over there, late model titles, and the sprint cars went at it there at the Perth Motorplex last week.
Oh, yeah, they certainly did, and it was a magnificent WA late model title with one of the favourites, Brad Blake, couldn't get the job done. He was done on the finish line by Brent Vosbergen in the W4, so, gee, that's a good win for Brent to hold that A1 title in the late models from Brad Blake in the W0 and Joe Chalmers in the W23. Warren Oldfield in the W15 in fourth place, drives a sprint car, or has driven a sprint car. So a good performance there by Brent Vosbergen. In the other racing over there at Kwinana at the Perth Motorplex, beautiful place over there, Jason. Looking forward to getting back there again next year. And it was an absolute beauty in the Legends 50, Ampol sprint car Legends 50. It was, let's have a look through the heats, 1 to 3. Callum Williamson got the job in Heat 1 done. Heat 2 was Chris Coyle, who's a really much improved driver. And Jock Goodyear, he went over there and contract drove. So he got second in that heat. And Heat 3 was Jamie Inglis. In the feature, well, it was Jamie Inglis that got the job done. A bit of a surprise win because he beat some of his rivals in the likes of Callum Williamson and Jason Kendrick, who have had great seasons over there in the West. And Inglis getting the job done from David Priolo and Dane Kingshot in the W99. So it was a very good win there for Inglis. Chris Coyle in fourth and Kai Scroop making up the top 5 in the 410 sprint car feature of the Legends 50 over there at Kwinana.
And another big weekend coming up in Speedway this weekend, Bruce. For those who want to find out who's racing or what the nominations are, listen out for the podcast where we will talk about racing at Sungold Stadium in Warrnambool, Archerfield in Queensland, and a slightly doubtful meet in Whyalla. Some low nominations there, but that's coming up on the podcast. If you want to hear that with myself and Bruce, go to Spreaker or on Facebook. Check us out there as well. Bruce, great chatting with you, mate. I know we've got plenty to talk about next week as well, with another big meet planned for the week after that you'll be previewing next week. Looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah, huge weekend next weekend. Can't wait to preview the Australian 360 Sprint Car Championship at Murray Bridge. We'll see you then, mate.
Bruce Phillips talking Speedway. It is the Sports Fix for your Thursday afternoon here on Flow FM. Bit of AFL action tonight. And there was some AFL action last night as well, wasn't there? Wow. Melbourne unveiling their flag. that they won against the Western Bulldogs, and Luke Beveridge went absolutely troppo in the press conference at the end of the game. Why? Well, if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard the details, I'm going to have a look at that in a little bit more detail next.